What's going on, viewers and Legend of Korra fans, and welcome to Stuker Gaming. Today we are coming with a video that's not quite normal of what I do, but we are coming to discuss and talk about the top 10 Legend of Korra episodes of all time, as well as discuss the Korrasami / season finale at the end of this video. So if you are here for that, go look at the end of the video and you will find it. But still, remember, if you guys don't find your favorite episode in this list, don't worry, there were 52 episodes in this entire series as a whole, and then like 110 in total for Legend of Korra and The Last Airbender. So yeah, it's kind of hard to decide what your favorite episodes are from both shows. But still, just as always, remember, we can't actually show the copyright content from the episodes because that is Viacom's copyright and they will come at us like a warthog. So we're going to be showing still images while going through each of the episodes and discussing them. Other than that, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. To kick things off with this list, we have number 10. I gotta say, this just slot in general was one of the hardest choices I had to make for my, this actual list. And that's because out of every one of these episodes, there were many things I liked from each one of them, including what they presented and what they actually showed together, just for pacing, action, plot development, etc., etc. But I came to the conclusion that number 10 deserved to belong to Season 4, Episode 10, Operation Beifong. Yeah, as many of you already are aware, Operation Beifong was pretty much one of those episodes, just like Season 3, Episode 10, aka being an episode that truly pushed the plot forward into the final arc, while at the same time offering some surprises and a bit of fan service. The episode's main premise was entirely based around the Beifong family and focused pretty much next to nothing on Korra other than her fact that she was trying to contact the spirits for help, which really didn't work. And for the first time in The Legend of Korra, we got to see the entire family of Beifongs on the screen at the same exact time for the first time, as well as actually find out who Lin's father really is, even though he turned out to be somebody completely random. So yeah, that was that. Nonetheless, the episode, other than just fan service, actually showed off some great animation / action sequences, especially between the battles between Kavira and the Beifongs, and it also set up the threat / plot that would take place in the next couple of episodes coming after episode 10 of season 4. So in truth, Operation Beifong, I have to say, it wasn't one of the best episodes that was ever made, but because of the fan service and the actual plot that was, pushed, I gotta say, it was one of my favorite, so that's the reason why it is number 10. So yeah, to keep things going forward, number 9, we have Season 3, Episode 11, The Ultimatum. First off, just like Episode 10, this episode was really hard to place. It was like I either wanted to place it for number 9 or number 8, but because of certain things, I decided to go number 9. This episode basically just had a ton of aggressive action, mixed with a bit of fan service, and blended well together. As you guys know, the fan service in general, we had Iroh, one of my favorite characters of all time, just like Toph from the Avatar series, just really said that this episode was going to be in this spot, and yeah. But the episode in general, its main premise was basically to focus on Zahir and the background characters. I say this because, as you guys know, Zahir in this episode, he showed that he was willing to go to the lengths, just whatever he wanted to do, in order to accomplish his goal. And that was basically attacking Korra's friends and family just to get Korra to come out and show herself. And it worked really well, obviously. What I really liked from this episode was the fact that we saw Tenzin, Bumi, and also Kaya step up to the plate, because since season 1, Tenzin hasn't done much, and since earlier in the season, Kaya and Bumi just really have been doing a lot. So it really showed that, yeah, they are benders, they have some crazy aggressive action, and it worked really well. And what was kind of offsetting, though, was the fact that Kaya just wasn't that great. You can give her the benefit of the doubt, because earlier in the season, she fought Zahir, who really isn't a master, but she was facing a person that was another waterbender. She should have done at least a little better. So, yeah. But, my favorite moments obviously had to go with Tenzin and Zahir. And I say that because never before since then had we seen an air versus air battle. And that's because, as you guys know, before Season 3 of The Legend of Korra, the airbenders were pretty much extinct because of the genocide back in The Last Airbender. So yeah, as we are here, now we are talking about number 8, and I gotta give it to The Legend of Korra Season 1, Episode 9. Basically, because you know what? Out of the past, for season 1 was one of my favorite episodes, basically because it had really good plot development, but also it had a massive amount of fan service that worked really well with the episode and wasn't there for no reason. Obviously, as you guys know, at the end of episode 8, we had a brand new antagonist, just formed, aka Tarlok, and he kidnapped Korra. This led to Korra trying to focus more on her spiritual side by focusing on Aang's previous memories, and the flashbacks arose, which were just sheer amazing. Obviously, the flashbacks raised a lot of questions, basically because we saw an enemy in the past, aka Canon, which we really didn't know much about, and that he was a bloodbender who could blend without a full moon, and just like Tarlok, you know what, it was kind of putting two and two together. But what made things even more interesting was the fact at the end of the episode, we had Amon being able to just withstand Tarlok's bloodbending, and that itself, in a nutshell, was ding, 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 something is not right here. But also at the same time, this episode, along with flashbacks and fan service, was just a cat and mouse chase. As you guys know, Tarlok set up the chase against, just to try to frame the Equalist, and this led, the main characters going after their Equalist hideout. They got the metal benders that were, they were trapped, kidnapped, and just lost to metal bending because of Amon. But also at the same time, did establish that Tarlok, to them, was an enemy of the state. But still, yeah, I gotta say, episode 9 was clearly no slouch in terms of anything. And if you are gonna watch any episode from season 1, this one would be the episode. So yeah, now we're at number 7. As you guys know, from 7 onward, these episodes were mainly decided because, you know what, in my opinion, they were the best of the best, and they deserved to be in these spots. Obviously, number 7, I could have put in the top 5, but because of certain reasons, it's only in number 7. And that is Season 3, Episode 10, Long Live the Queen. As you know, you might be telling yourselves, why am I not putting it at number 5 or so before that? It's mainly because this episode, even though it was good, it was very slow at the start, and it didn't really pick up until the end of the actual episode. As you guys know, this episode mainly picked up the plot that we had the episode prior and that was Korrasami being kidnapped and captured in order to be taken to Ba Sing Se by orders of the Earth Queen to face punishment. But at the same time, we also had Zahir and the Red Lotus arrive at Ba Sing Se, demand to the actual Earth Queen that they won the Avatar, and from there on, you knew that something was going to happen. Tensions were going to rise, but what was pretty freaking awesome was the ballsiest moment happened mainly because Korrasami escaped from being kidnapped, and that was, as soon as that happened, Zahir flipped on his high horse and just went right to the Earth Queen and strangled her. And it wasn't like he just strangled her, but he asphyxiated her using the air inside her own lungs, which just was one of the darkest moments on the show because, even though they showed the death off screen, they showed her being choked to death on screen with the air funnel, and that was pretty freaking dark. So yeah, that moment itself, along with Ba Sing Se and the walls being torn down by the lava bender, just showed that this was one of the greatest moments of all time. Because if you remember back in The Last Airbender, it was stated that the walls of Ba Sing Se were pretty much impenetrable, and even the drill back in Book 2 Earth of The Last Airbender was not able to go through the entire way. So yeah, that itself, along with the revolution, the kickstart what we'll see later on in the season, along with season 4, just in sheer moment, just told me that this deserved to be in my list. So yeah. You guys all know season 3 and also season 4 were two of my favorite seasons from the Legend of Korra as a whole, and because of that, this episode is right here for that reason. For number 6, we have the Legend of Korra season 4, episode 4, The Calling. This episode in general was just really good for so many reasons. The first one obviously was because it wrapped up Korra's struggles, or at least for the moment, that she was going through since the end of season 3, and it did a really good job of that. As you guys know, for episodes 1, episode 4 of season 4, we kind of saw where Korra was coming from since the end of season 3 for that 3-year time frame, and it did a great job. She went from place to place, trying to find herself yet again, and this ended up leading Korra to the swamp where she met Toph. That there pretty much just, flew the gun because the Star Wars moments and the feelings, and it did a great job with that. Obviously, that itself led to Korra having to conquer her fears from the enemies that she faced from season 1, Amon, season 2, Batu Unalaq, and also season 3, Zahir, and finally gain closure and once again awaken the Avatar state by getting rid of the metal inside of her body. But also at the same time, the episode did a good job with the side plot, which was Ikki, Jinora, Milo. I say this because Ikki and Milo both had more of a dominant role in this episode, and I really liked that because from season 3 we saw Jinora more than these two, and because of that they were pretty much looked at as the goofy characters, and they really gained more of a dominant role in this episode, just like Tenzin, Bumi, and Kaya gained more of a dominant role in the Ultimatum. So yeah, this episode in a nutshell was great. Toph was pretty freaking amazing to see, and kind of sad when she had to leave. So as you guys saw, we're going to be talking about number 5 and also number 4 at the same time, as you guys know. Or if you may not know, I myself wasn't the biggest fan of season 2. It's mainly because it left a stale taste in my mouth a little after season 2's ending, mainly because the ending itself was lousily written. It was a lot of BS that made you swallow, so it just wasn't the greatest. But number 5 we have season 2 episode 13, Darkness Falls, not the finale. And number 4 we have season 2 episode 7/episode 8, Beginnings, because they're a whole in general. We're going to be talking about both at the same time, basically because they had a lot of similar context throughout these episodes, and I gotta say, it just worked like that. As you guys know, basically season 2 itself decided to establish a whole new lore to the Avatar series, or at least make it clear, and that itself was 1. Harmonic convergence, 2. Avatar 1, and 3. Raava/Vaatu. This basically was all started originally with Beginnings. Beginnings told the story of Avatar 1, aka 10,000 years prior to Avatar Korra from season 2, and it did a really good job. Obviously, we saw that during Wan's time, spirits and humans and people just correlated in the same plane of existence until harmonic convergence happened, and it also showed how the Avatar came to be. As you guys remember, there were the original benders, such as the badger moles and the dragons, but they're not the ones that originally gave people earth bendings. It was the actual lion turtles. We actually only saw one lion turtle prior to this, and that was in book 3 of The Last Airbender, Fire, when Aang actually met a lion turtle who actually taught him energy bending. So that was actually pretty interesting. And what we saw was pretty much Raava and Wan working together with one another in order to actually help the world and then stop Vaatu during harmonic convergence. That's basically what Beginnings was about. It had a lot of good animation, a lot of good action, and I thought in general it was just a really well done pair of episodes. And on the side note as well, as you saw, Darkness Falls basically amped up the ante to with the lore and established the Dark Avatar, aka Unavaatu. And what was awesome about, or crazy about this episode, was the fact that Vaatu, Unalaq, basically ripped Raava out of Korra and destroyed the Avatar spirit, which just entirely was crazy, and I did not know how they were going to finish that. But still, I gotta say both episodes were great and did an amazing job telling season 2. So if you guys want to check out season 2, I would suggest those 2 episodes. So yeah, we have now just gotten into the top 3 best episodes of The Legend of Korra of all time. And number 3, it's going to be pretty self-explanatory why I put it on this list and at this exact spot. And without further ado, number 3 goes to Legend of Korra, Season 1, Episode 1, Welcome to Republic City. I know some of you might be out there nagging at me for putting this on the list, let alone at number 3, but I put it here basically because if you were a Last Airbender fan, you waited so long for something new. Obviously the M. Night Shyamalan crap, which we don't speak about, just kind of ruined it for the taste of what you're feeling about the show. Well, not the show, but the series as a whole. And when we heard about The Legend of Korra, I myself got really excited, and then when it came out for the first time, Season 1, Episode 1, it was just amazing. Obviously, the episode itself, unlike The Boy in the Iceberg, starts out really fast and makes you really aware of everything that is going on. And the best quote from the episode was one of the first 3 quotes of the actual episode, and that was from Korra herself when she was a toddler, when the White Lotus was going around trying to find a new avatar, and that was, I am the avatar and you have to deal with it. I gotta say, seeing that in general, along with her bending fire, earth, and water, was just freaking fantastic. The episode itself obviously went around all the characters, established new characters such as Tenzin, Penma, Jinora, Ikki, Milo, and also showed Katara and just everyone else. So if you guys haven't seen the first episode of the show, I suggest you give it a watch because you know what? You're probably going to binge watch the entire show. So yeah. So yes guys, we have reached the conclusion. We are here now with the number 1 and number 2 episodes of Legend of Korra. And I gotta say, they're pretty freaking amazing. But just like number 4 and number 5, and I talked about that, I'm going to be talking about both of these at the same time. Because number 2 is the Legend of Korra Season 3 finale, Venom of the Red Lotus. And number 1, obviously, of course, goes to the Season 4 finale, The Last Stand. I gotta say, both these episodes as a whole were not just picked because they were the finales, but they were picked because they were some of the best episodes of all time from The Legend of Korra, but also The Last Airbender as a whole. They had great moments, they had good animation, action, pacing, and were just well done in terms of writing. And yeah, so we're gonna go with number 2 first. As you guys know, Venom of the Red Lotus just was really good in terms of wrapping up the rest of Season 3 season. I said it because from episode 10 to episode 13, things got really dark and they got really good. And this in general just showed a lot of what they showed throughout the last few episodes, just combined as a whole, and it was just amazing. Some of the best moments in terms had to be the animation. I say this because from the fighting and action animation to Korra just being poisoned, where it's just captivating. Obviously, Korra being poisoned had some of the craziest moments. I say this because they drew from anime inspirations even more, just with the creepy faces, and even when Korra saw Amon, Unalaq, and Vantu on the bodies of the Red Lotus and also Zahir, that was just really creepy. But obviously, it captivated me even more when I saw Korra facing Zahir in a thing that kind of parodied Book 3 Fire of The Last Airbender when Aang faced Ozai at the end. That was just sheer freaking fantastic. But obviously it's number 2 because Korra herself did not take down Zahir. It was the Airbenders that finally finished them. But I gotta say, you know what? Who cares? That was still a great moment. And what captivated even more was the fact that Jinora got her tattoos at the end. But as you guys saw also with the images on the right hand side right here, or the left side, or whatever part the video is, we had Season 4, Episode 13, The Last Stand. This episode in general, it made me cry. I cannot say that it didn't. Just the music in general captivated me throughout the entire episode. And it got to the point of saying, okay, the music is doing specific things, because it is. The music itself made you think Mako was going to kill himself. The music itself made the core battle just intense. And all around, it was really well done. And also what I thought was pretty freaking amazing was the fact that Korra herself finally took out an enemy without actually taking him out. Obviously, Korra saved Kavira in the end, and that in fact was just sheer fantastic when the spirit portal opened. And as you guys know, in just a second, we're going to be talking about that ending that you guys are all discussing. So, yeah, sit back and enjoy. As you guys know, you're probably here for this moment here and this moment alone, if you're not coming here for the actual listing. And this is basically the finale / Korrasami discussion that I talked about at the beginning of the video. So basically, as you guys do remember, if you did see the finale, if not, spoiler alert, at the end of the episode, we basically had Korra and Asami walk into the spirit portal holding hands, and then it signified they looked at each other and we saw the end appear on screen. This itself paralleled the Last Airbender's ending, where we had Aang and Katara kiss one another after Fire Lord Zuko was crowned Fire Lord, and it just ended right there with the end appearing on screen. As you guys know, Mike and Brian pretty much left things up for interpretations, but people have been taking things to the extreme, whether or not they're shipping or whether or not they're being homophobic. I myself, I'm not a crazy shipper, but by judging by the hints we've seen since Season 3 and also Season 4, it kind of leaves it up to saying Korrasami more than likely is actually legit. I say this because there have been many moments between both the seasons where we saw Korra and Asami just have those kind of moments that either indicates a strong friendship or even a romantic relationship. One moment comes to mind early in the season for Season 4 when Korra was actually blushing in front of Asami when she said something to her. So yeah, that itself kind of is an indicator and a point blank shot in the face. But still, again, myself, I'll say it leaves for interpretations, and if you want to believe it, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. Still, guys, I hope you really enjoyed the video. Until next time, guys, peace out. Have a terrific day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.